Hello Internet, welcome to this iOS app development course where we will learn to develop iOS apps. We would be building a lot of apps during this course to get a solid grip of the subject and programming itself. So in this lecture we are going to be covering some of the tools that you need in terms of software and hardware to start developing iOS first and foremost. And we would also create a basic app to give you a very brief overview of the iOS apps and how are they created. So first requirement here is you will need a Mac of some sort. Now it doesn't have to be the latest or greatest, but it has to be able to run macOS. And the reason why we need macOS is because we need to install a piece of software called Xcode that will allow us to develop our iOS app. So iPads and even iPad Pros are out of question. Now that you have a Mac, head over to the App Store. Sorry about that. Head over to the App Store and search for Xcode. And once you search for Xcode, this is from Apple. It's completely free to download. Go ahead and download this software. Now it may take some time as it is some very huge piece of software. You can see the size here is 7.8 gigabytes. Alright, now that everything is set up, let's first tackle how to create and set up a new iOS project from scratch. So when you first open Xcode, it should show you a welcome screen and we can get started straight away by clicking on the link here that says create a new Xcode project. Okay, now if you don't see this welcome screen, let's just cancel out here. Now if you don't see this welcome screen, it might be because this checkbox is disabled. So go over to file and new and project and it would do the same thing. So let's go ahead and create a new Xcode project. I would just click there and sorry about this, I've got some kind of cough here. But next we will go ahead and choose the kind of template we want for our project. And firstly up here we have got different kind of tabs for creating different apps, for creating like watch apps, tvOS, macOS and cross-platform and a lot of things. But what we are interested here and we have selected by default is a single view app. So this single view app is kind of the most customizable template. It basically doesn't assume anything about your app and you're free to modify as you need to. The rest of the views like master detail app and tabbed app are like self-explanatory. Master detail app is like a two-pane split column app and tabbed app has some kind of tabs below the screen so that you can switch between tabs. But we would go ahead and select single view app and notice that you can always go ahead and add these viewports to your single view app. So when we click on next, it asks for our product name. Okay, so it asks for our product name. Let's just call I'm going to create a new app which is called I am rich. And what this app does is it basically displays a simple image and a text called I am rich. You can select your team. I'm going to select my personal team. Go ahead and give your organization and some name. If you are an individual developer, give your name here. And now there is this thing called bundle identifier. So you need to pre-fill this organization identifier thing. Basically what bundle identifier is, it's basically a domain name reversed. So com comes first, then your company name and then your app name. It's like a unique app address which is used to identify your app in the Play Store. So you can say com.uname, whatever your name is if you don't have a company, and then it would pre-fill the bundle identifier for you. Language is Swift, and user interface should be storyboard for now. Swift UI is a new version, which is like a new reactive language. We cannot call it a language. Basically, we can call it a framework, a new reactive framework for Swift. We would take a look at Swift UI later on this course, but for now, let's just stick to storyboard because that's the legacy method of creating iOS apps. And click next. Now it would ask you to where do you want to save this app. So let's just go ahead and I'm gonna create a new folder called iOS apps, and I'm gonna create this folder and I'm gonna save this app here, and I'm gonna click create. So it would go ahead and do all of its things in background, and it's going to create a new app. So okay, it says no author information was supplied in version control system. You can go ahead and fix that and give your author name as your own email, but I'm not gonna give that right now. We will take a look at this later. Okay, now what I want here is you can basically go ahead and get Xcode in full screen, but I don't want you to get Xcode in full screen because you would no longer have access to these things, these menus, which are pretty helpful. If you go full screen, you have to go like up here and then access menus. So what I would rather recommend is you should right click on your dock and turn hiding on and double click on this taskbar so that it uses the maximum space on your screen. Now what you are greeted here is this page where it says general and it has a lot of different things, and here you can change the target device where on which platforms you want to build your app for, and if you want to build for iPhone or iPad, or if you have some kind of if you have macOS later than 10.15, that is Catalina, which has a new feature called Project Catalyst where you can import your iPad apps to your macOS, so you can build for that too. I'm not gonna enable right now, but that's what it says. Next thing here is device orientation. Device orientation portrait is whatever device you are handing in the position that's your normal position of your device. Landscape left and right are landscape orientations, and this is pretty useful when you are developing some kind of games. And upside down means if even if you turn your device upside down, the app should work and it should have an upside down orientation. Now there are status bar styles: default, dark content, and light content. So I'm gonna leave that to default, and these names, dark content and light content, are pretty self-explanatory. The color of the status bar would change according to your app, your whatever the design you selected. And you can also check to hide status bar or require full screen. Now let's talk about what's going on here. Now there are multiple panes here. The first thing is this top bar. This is the top bar, and it's like it's giving you some information here. You can click, basically you can think of it like media playing apps or iTunes. So the same top bar is here. You can click here to run your app. Here you can select a simulator. Okay, and basically there are a lot of simulators. Let's just set it to iPhone 11. This area, here you can click, this is called library. Here you can click to add multiple objects. I would show you this again after some time. Now if this is called your navigator pane, and this pane has a lot of different subdirectories with a lot of different tabs, which has a lot of different functions, which would take a look into as we progress in this course. Also, when you want to get into this general page, you can go ahead and click your app name, I am rich, and then click I am rich under the targets, And then here also you have a lot of different tabs which would we would take a look as we progress in this course, and we don't need to touch any of these right now, but this is what we are going to have right now. Now there is this launch screen dot storyboard. Oops, I don't mean to. Okay, there's this launch screen dot storyboard, and there's this main dot storyboard. Basically they look the same, but the functions are different. Launch screen is what you get before launching the app, like a for a very brief time, like a very small company logo or something like that. And main dot storyboard is something where you are going to design your app. Now there's another thing called view controller dot swift, and this is where you write your code for your application. Okay, let's just go to main dot storyboard. Now here we have some panes. You can see this is called the navigator pane, which I explained earlier. This is your object library where you can have access to different default iOS objects, and you can go ahead and drag something out of there and place it on your main screen.storyboard. This is called the inspector pane. It helps you inspect different objects on your storyboard and has different properties. This is the size inspector for now. Okay, let the size inspector load. Okay, yeah, this is called the size inspector, and this is the attributes inspectors. It helps you to change this different attributes of your label or whatever objects you do have. This pane is called the document outline, and you can consider this as like the same. If you have used some kind of design software like Photoshop, it can be considered as the layers. Even if you don't ever used Photoshop, you can consider like this is a label, and this label can be clicked to get access to the label on your storyboard. Now this is particularly helpful when you have your elements very near to each other and it is very hard to click on the specific element, so you can go ahead and click on label. Now let's talk about panning in the storyboard area. So on your trackpad you can use your two finger gestures, up, down, left, right, to navigate or track between your storyboard, and you can use the pinch to zoom and zoom in and zoom out gestures to uh, get a better view at your storyboard, like the very zoomed in view or zoomed out view. And in any case you cannot see your storyboard like it's very zoomed out, you can click on view controller scene. Okay, oops, sorry. You can always click on view controller scene to make it center. And we have another tab here. You can also click on this icon to hide your document outline. Now we have another tab here called view as iPhone 11. You have various devices here like iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Pro, 8, SE, 4S, and you can view your design on different iPhones. Now we also have different interface styles like for dark style and light style, and we have different orientations like landscape and portrait. I also want to show you this preferences icon. So there's this appearance thing where there's system, and by default it comes with light, but it can also be in dark mode, and which most of you would prefer because it's easy on eyes. Now if you go here to fonts and colors, you can set different fonts and colors for your text. So dusk, high contrast, low key, presentation, dark and light, and a lot of things. I'm gonna keep it at presentation light so that this text is a little bit larger and you can read the text while I type. Okay, so let's just go ahead and center our view controller. Also, I want to talk about here is this another icon. Um, sorry, this tab button group where you can hide and show different tabs or different panes. And there's another pane called the debug pane. This debug pane is used when your app is running and it is used to output the debug messages, and whenever your app crashes, and app crash messages are also printed here, or when you have some kind of debug messages, they are also printed here. So this is very particularly useful for app developers to debug their applications. Right now, let's go ahead and create a new app. So I'm gonna hide my debug pane and let's just go ahead and zoom in. And I have done this so that I can get the maximum area. And also when you move your label, you can see these grid lines which show you which help you to position your app, label or whatever the object you want to position. So let's just click on this label and we want to change its text. So with label selected, go to your attributes pane, attributes inspector, click on label and change it to something like I am rich. Press enter for the changes to load. Also, I want the label to be a different color. Let's just change it to white color. Now white on white is not visible right now, but we would change the background color after some time. Also, I am going to click on this T to change the font. So um, I want to use Helvetica Neue, but that font is not available, so I'm going to select custom. Now our font is available and we do have a lot of options. So let's just set to Helvetica Neue, style regular, and you can change it to bold, italic, condensed, light, or whatever style you want to. Let's just change the size to 40 and click done. And that's all I want to do. And let's just center it. Okay. Now I want to show you this size inspector. So it says X and Y and width and height. So what are these things? So X and Y are the coordinates at which this element is present. So think of this starting position as 0, 0. Everything that goes in the right direction from here is X coordinate, and everything that goes in the bottom direction from here is Y coordinate. So X121 means this position. We are every time we are talking about coordinates, we are always talking about the top left position. So this top left position is 121 units away, 121 points away, not pixels. Remember, this is points. iPhone apps are always, and iPhone coordinates are always calculated in points, not pixels, because pixels are like 3 to 4 times more than points. So what we are talking about here is points. So this is 121 points away from the left side of the screen, and it is 118 points below the top side of the screen. Its width, this width is 173 points and height is 47 points. You can go ahead and change it to something whatever you want. Let's say I want to change the y value to 150 and it moves a little bit down. So that's how you change your values via size inspector without moving your um, object with mouse. Now I want to change the background, so click on this view and click on attributes inspector, and there's a background that's white by default. So let's just go ahead and click custom and this colors pane pops up. Go ahead and select RGB sliders. Now you have an option to provide an hex value. So I can provide a hex value something like 24435E, and this comes up with a very nice uh, grayish or bluish color. And now this app looks good. Now I want to get an image right here. So I can click on here objects, and either you can go ahead and scroll and get to your image view. Image is called image view in iOS, or you can go ahead and search for image view and you would be presented by an image view. So drag and drop your image view. Notice how it says UI image view here. So I want it to be at very specific positions. So I want the width and height to be 250 each. So let's just change to 250, and I'm happy with this image now. Okay, now I want to show how to import different assets in your Xcode project. But to import different assets, we would need different kind of images and icons. So first of all, I would show you how to get to an image. To get an image, you can always go to a website called unsplash.com, which has free stock images which you can use for different purposes free of cost, and it's like totally copyright free. So let's search for something like diamond, and let's find something good. So what I do like is this image. Let's use this image for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to click download free, and it's going to download the image for me. Right now it's downloading. It's preparing to download. Okay, let it download. And now I want to head over a website called appicon.co. So what it helps you to generate image sets and app icons. Before we generate any kind of image set or app icons, I am going to discuss this assets.exe assets thing. This folder assets.xcode assets contains your assets, whatever images or app icons you are going to add to your project. Right now this is empty, and it contains an app icon template which has different icons, but it is completely empty. Let's just now go ahead and add our image to that. So we have our image downloaded right here, but notice how this happens is whenever you can simply drag and drop your image. Now it says 1x, no 2x, no 3x, nothing. So what is this 1x, 2x and 3x? So basically what happens is this iPhone resolution has a lot more pixels in 2x than whatever it has in 1x in the same area, and 3x has even more pixels in the same area. Let's say you have a square of 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. So what this means is you can fit a square of 1 centimeter in by 1 centimeter in that square perfectly. Now What if I say there is a square of 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, but it can fit 4 squares of 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter inside itself. That means it has got 2 times the resolution. So different iPhones have different resolutions, 1x, 2x, 3x. So it's better to give a more sharper picture of the 2x and 3x resolutions. So we don't want this, we want to delete this and head over to our appicon.co. Now we need to design up to 3x only, not for Android, just iOS. And we can now go ahead and drag our image right here and click generate, and it's going to generate a folder that is called image-sets.zip. Click to extract it. It contains a folder called iOS, and notice it has already provided with the postfix like @2x, @3x. Go ahead, select all, drag it, and now Xcode is smart enough to pre-fill the 1x, 2x, and 3x images. Let's talk about app icon now. So you can have your app icon generated or designed by someone, but I would talk about a very simple method and a website called canva.com. Go ahead, log in or sign up. I'm going to log in with my Google account. And app icons in iOS are 1024 by 1024 pixels. So let's just go ahead and get a custom dimension of 1024 by 1024 pixels. And here we have. So Xcode, sorry, not Xcode. Canva is smart enough to suggest you a lot of different templates, but we don't want any template. Let's just go ahead and get to elements, and let's just add some kind of circle. That's good. Change the circle color to some kind of teal. Now I'm gonna add another element, this triangle. Let's just go ahead and stretch it all out and change the color to white. Also, I'm looking for some kind of gradients, so gradient backgrounds. So let's just go click ahead and go to backgrounds and find some gradient backgrounds that are nice to look at. Maybe this one. So let's just go ahead and search for a good looking background. Okay, this one looks good. And now I want to find an element of diamond. There are a lot of things that you can download for free here. So let's just search for diamond. I like this one. So I'm gonna get it a little bit smaller. And here we go. So this is the icon I have designed in like 2 minutes. Go ahead and change its name to something like icon. Click publish and click download and click PNG. So it would go ahead and download your icon. Now what you can do is go to app icon generator, click on app icon. We don't want our app icon for watch, Mac or Android. We want for iPhone and iPad. Go to Finder. Sorry about that again. Click and drag your icon and click generate. So it generates an app icons.zip file. Extract it. It presents an app icons folder. Go ahead, select all except this content.json, drag and drop to app icon. Now this happens sometime that this app icon doesn't get updated. So a workaround for this is go ahead, right click and on this assets.exe assets and click show in finder. So when you show in finder, you find that there is an exact same replica of what you downloaded, app icon dot app icon set. So now you can go ahead and copy this app icon set and paste it here and replace everything there. So as soon as you replace everything there, you would find that all of the icons are updated in your project. Now that we have created everything, we can now click on our UI image view, go to our image view attributes inspector, and now notice that this is expecting us to provide us with a text, but we can click this down arrow to see what images are in our project, and we can also search for the images if we have a lot of images here. So click here, we have got this image. Now I'm thinking that this background is like this background has would be better if I give it a black background so that this image would merge very nicely in the background. But if you make such kind of mistakes, you can always hit Command Z or Command Z to undo your changes. Now I'm happy with this app, and what I can do is click this play icon to go ahead and build and run my app on a simulator that's running iPhone 11. Or you can go ahead and, if you do have a physical iPhone, you can go ahead and connect your iPhone to your Mac. So, or you can change any of the other things like iPhone 8, 8 Plus. So I'm gonna run it on iPhone 11. Click this, it would start the build. So now the build has succeeded and it's going to launch I Am Rich on the simulator. So simulator is here. Now this simulator would take some time because it's starting up for the first time. Now I fast forwarded it for some time and you can see a blank screen for some time. That's your launch screen.storyboard, that's completely empty. And once this app loads completely, this is going to land up in the main.storyboard, which should be our app. I did fast forward it for this time, but next time when you build this app and the simulator, that would start very quickly and you won't face any problems like time delays after you run it for the first time. This is for the first time only. So this is what our apps is right now, and it says I am rich. You can grab the title and move the simulator here and there, or you can resize the simulator to your liking. You can also click on hardware and uh, simulate different buttons like home, and this would go home. And this is our app I am rich. Click on I am rich. So this is what we have built in this primary iOS development course. We would be building a lot of different applications and learn a lot of programming over different videos that are going to come in the future. This is a video which is just an introduction to how to build a very simple app with one simple text and a simple image, and both of them which are not interactable. You cannot do anything with the text right now, you cannot do anything with the image right now. Everything is static, but we would be changing them to dynamic things, and we would be adding buttons, and we would be adding functionality, a lot of different functions to our app. So that is all going to come in future. For this video, That's all, and this is how you create a very simple app in Xcode for iOS or iPad, whatever you want. Till then, take care and goodbye.
Subscribe now. Press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.